right, we're ready to start part 3. This is Zoe again, or Pat. Um, what we're going to do is she's had a few sessions this week of round penning because she's a runaway. So we were teaching her to come in and have some recall. And then once we have her haltered, we will practice the head down cue. She never really had one before, which was real obvious because right now, this is the first time she's had a bridle on. And she was okay bringing her head down, but you could tell that when people put anything in her mouth, she'd jack her head right up and was actually on the very rude side. Again, we did do a little bit of work on that because it's not okay for her to do that. So she's had more endo tapping, and she has practiced the shoulder in a circle. So we'll show you where she's at. We haven't done hours of shouldering on a circle. We've done 10, 15 minutes here with part of her other sessions, mostly relaxation cues. And at this stage here, I'm not even sure whether I will use the bit at all. We may go into jaw-flexions. The thing is, I'll need to do more of a close-up. But again, what we're going to do right now is we're looking at the shouldering on the circle, getting better bend on a circle on a slightly longer line, shouldering down the straight. Now, I have my new tool here today. It's called my new Fandango EndoTapper. The fact that the darn best tool I've ever seen for horses who, when you ask them to move over, and it makes noise. I get a lot of people, oh, you're going to hit that horse with a bat. Well, the funny thing is you don't need to hit a horse with a bat. And I get some people that the horse tries to constantly run over them. Well, if the horse tries to come over them, all you do is you bang yourself in the head. And it really is painful, right? Okay, so, but the whole idea is if I get the horse's attention when I ask her to back up, okay? So now I can use something that will get her attention and at the same time not require a whole lot of pressure to get her to move. To me, that sounds like a darn good idea. And if any of you have ever trained stallions and you get some of these horses that are really, really on the pushy side, it's amazing how when you use one of these, how you can easily get them to back up and they go, what the heck is that? Now, once you've got a horse's attention, all right, now you're ready to go somewhere else with that. The whole thing is everybody sees it. They have this imagination. They imagine that it's a bat, it's a wooden bat, and you're hitting that horse. It's not. The reason why I like it is that I can actually use this tool, and I can actually, it's a great EndoTapper, especially for these chubbier horses. So it'll stimulate just a little bit more muscle, and right there, I don't know if you can see it, but she was actually already starting to salivate and relax. So for me, that's a big deal. So the whole idea is the less work I do and the more calm I can stay, the more positive an effect I'm going to have on this horse. All right, so now when I ask her head over and move the shoulder moves over. But also if I EndoTap her on that circle and move her out, she bends. She bends correctly. And I can push just like I can on the rear if I want to. Move my forward. If she loses her bend, I'll just bump her on the rib cage. There we go. And to a stop. And relax. The other thing that happens with this is because the fat bat is so noisy, it actually helps a little bit in preparing the horse that to understand that not all noisy things are a bad thing. They learn that it's not the bat that's the problem, It's the language being used with it. So if I ask her to move, or I ask her to bump, little bump there works great for that. Good. And then relax. Good. I can also use it to help neck rein. So when I move this, the bat comes over. And again, you set up, shoulder in on a circle. Straighten it out a little bit. There we go. And stop it. And again. Now, for those of you that aren't using an EndoTapper, you just want to have a short break in between there where you're doing nothing. The reason why I like to EndoTap is that I can stimulate her to relax. This mare spent much of her 16 years with her head up. Anytime she sees human beings, she's head up and ready to go. So for her to learn that she doesn't have to always have her head up and be on guard and running away is a big deal. So I can help her with the EndoTapping a lot more than if I just wait for her to relax by setting her up in the exercise. Of course, I'm triggering her reflexes to relax by having the bend in the shoulder in on the circle, by having the neck and doing a pole flexion. And then later on, we're going to be doing a jaw flexion. Sending her out. Oh. So if I have a horse that when I touch them on their body parts, and they just stand there going, oh, and if I'm trying to move them, so if I'm trying to move her over, see how sensitive she is? The bat's great for that. Because when they dawdle, you just give them a little bit of a thump, and I'll tell you they move over. So when she's going on a circle, when I give her a little bump on her rib cage, I can feel her bend right away. So if that was my leg and it's asking her to bend, she's not going to take all day to bend correctly. And then what happens is that everything is less busy, everything is better bend. She's going to stimulate herself to relax much more. We'll come down. So for this horse here, my tendency is I prefer the shoulder in on the circle, going to the straight, because I can actually improve the bend on this horse. I can actually get her to get a slightly better pole flexion in that position without her getting stuck. And that's the whole idea, is I don't want her getting stuck. As she gets better, we should be able to go down the straights. So I'll move her around. So she's had a little bit of hesitation there. She's feeling a little bit of pressure still from the rail. She hasn't had a ton of experience in the arena here, because a lot of it's been in the round pen and in her own pen, because we sort everything out in her pen before we come out to the arena. All right, so we move her out. Okay, I'm going to ask her to bend forward, my bend, shelter on my rib cage. I need my forward, bend. That's not bad right there. Forward. Good. Yeah, I ask her. Forward. Good. I'm going to stop her right there. You probably could hear her. She was actually salivating and chewing on the bit. So with a lot of horses, we'd start doing the jaw flexions from a stationary position like this, teaching them to go up towards the ears. So anytime I do a jaw flexion, it's not back here this way on the horse, it's always up. All right. So if I was applying, I'm just gonna experiment a little bit because this horse has been in the bridle supposedly at some point. I don't know how well she went in the saddle at all, but they probably didn't have her all that soft. So we'll find out. I'm gonna send her forward on the circle. I'm just gonna test. And right there, I'm raising her just a little bit, causing a jaw flexion. She'll probably start to actually I'm just going to wait, and relax. And she started to chew there. So in a jaw flexion, there's always a differential. So I can do a jaw flexion with just the inside ring or with both hands, but there's always a differential. So if I'm hanging on to both and I was asking her to come up, only one of them push up. So I'm going to point with my finger, and all I'm doing is I'm stretching here and then coming back. Stretching here and coming back. Stretching here and coming back. Stretching here, and all I'm doing is I'm stretching the lips. There's no hard tissue that I'm hitting at all. And relax. And if I wait and I have a relaxation phase after, she's thinking about it right now. So every time I stretch those lips and I came back, it's actually causing her to start salivating. The more she salivates, the more she'll tend to relax. A little bit like having chewing gum. Right now, she's still thinking about it. I don't worry about that. And this is because she's a quiet, anxious horse. They tend to just like keep thinking something else is going to happen. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do that again. Okay, but now I'm going to do it with my right thumb. So I'm just holding with the left, stretch the right, relax it, stretch the right, and relax it. I'm just stretching the lips, and relax it, stretch, and relax. Now, if I relax my hands, you notice how she's starting to come down with the hands? That's what she should do when we're riding. So if my hands come up like this when I'm riding, her head should come up. Okay, and it should come up like this. It should not come up with the nose up in the air like this. It should be in an angle like this. All right? So now what I'm going to do is we're going to just do a little bit of shouldering on a circle. This time I've got the rope ready to handle the halter if I need to because I'm not fighting with the bit. The whole idea is I just position her with the bit, and if she does well, I'm going to do with that. If not, I can always use the halter. All right? But again, we need a backup because we don't want to start getting in trouble. Forward. The bit is not something to wrestle with. She's doing pretty good there. I can see her lip stretching. Again, good. Position's pretty good. Position's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Your lips are stretching. I just relax, relax, and there you go. So a lot of people go, well, why do you want to use a bit? Well, the reason why I like to use the bit is that I can use one more reflex in that horse to relax. Now, using a bit correctly and using a bit incorrectly are two totally different things. If somebody does not know how to do proper jaw flexions and position the horse properly with a bit, please stay with the halter. And if you're going to use a Bozell, use it effectively. Most people don't realize that when I'm using a bit, I position the horse here, like this. So I teach the horse to be at the right height like that. If I'm with a Bozell, I don't pull the Bozell back this way. I actually raise it up just like I would do in a French classical move with the hands with a bit. Okay? And that's the difference with true California Bozell preparation is they raise the horse, they have the knot snug enough here so that when they raise it, the horse's head will raise exactly like that rather than in most cases what happens is people have the pressure here and they pull down. Their hands are pulling down in this angle here. And what they're doing is they're breaking the pole. They're not raising it. That pole needs to be above the withers at all times. Every collective movement comes from that. If I stimulate the pole right up here or the mouth to start to relax, that horse will offer vertical flexion like that right there as a result of doing the relaxation exercises. You don't force that. What you do is you create a situation where the horse can relax and it will offer it. I call it the dangle. And if so, I just teach the horse how high the pole is, but it should dangle just like that bat. All right? So as that horse gets higher, it could in that position. The horse comes down to relax. It should be in that position. It should never be out like that. The only odd exception is if I was doing a super collective move like a piaffe, and if that horse's hind end is way underneath, the nose will actually look slightly out because the hind end is so far underneath, like you would in a slide stock. When that horse really gets underneath itself like that, and the hind end's actually starting to race the front end, the head will look like it's out. But it's actually more in this type of position. It's just that the hind end's crawling underneath. All right, so that's it for this part of the phase. Now, I did promise you guys that we do something with the young horses. So what we'll do is we'll take a short break, and I'll set that up for you and show you how you use the shouldering on a circle to help train young horses.